There are things you go through that don't look like much from the outside. No crisis, no public failure, no visible collapse. Life kept moving. People kept talking. Days kept coming. And still something inside you was being asked to endure. Quietly. You didn't announce it. You didn't explain it to everyone. You didn't even fully have words for it yourself. You just kept going. Showing up. Doing what needed to be done. Holding together what could not fall apart. What you endured quietly changed you. Not in dramatic ways. Not overnight. But steadily. It reshaped how you respond. How you decide. How you carry responsibility now. You didn't wake up one day and realize you were stronger. You noticed it slowly. In small moments. In the way you pause now. Before reacting. In the way you no longer explain yourself to people who won't understand anyway. In the way you can carry weight without letting it spill into everything else. This endurance didn't come from comfort. It came from pressure. That didn't give you the option to stop. From responsibility that didn't wait until you felt ready. From seasons that required more from you than you expected to give. And you stayed. Not because it felt noble, but because walking away would have cost something deeper. That kind of endurance doesn't feel heroic. It feels tiring. It feels repetitive. It feels like doing the right thing without the reward of recognition. And Scripture understands this kind of endurance very well. In Psalm 73-26, the psalmist writes, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart, and my portion forever." This psalm wasn't written from a peaceful place. It came from inner conflict, comparison, and prolonged pressure. When the psalmist says, his flesh and heart may fail, he is describing exhaustion. Not rebellion, not collapse. Depletion. The promise here is not that life becomes lighter immediately. The promise is that when your strength runs low, God supplies what you no longer have. Not all at once, but enough. Enough patience for the next decision. Enough steadiness for the next conversation. Enough clarity for the next step. That is how you survived. What you endured quietly. You didn't feel energized, but you were sustained. And that sustenance changed you. It taught you the difference between reacting and responding, between venting and remaining aligned, between releasing pressure outward and carrying it inward with discipline. That discipline was not natural. It was learned. Learned in moments when you wanted to say more. but chose restraint. When you wanted to disengage, but chose presence. When you wanted relief, but chose responsibility. Those moments shaped you more than you realized at the time. Psalm 55-22 speaks directly to this kind of season. Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. David wrote this while carrying leadership pressure, relational betrayal, and constant threat. When he talks about casting his burden, he is not talking about abandoning his role. He is talking about transferring the weight of outcome. The responsibility remained, but the crushing pressure did not. That is the promise, not escape. Sustenance. You didn't stop carrying responsibility. You stopped carrying it alone. And that distinction matters. That's why you didn't collapse when others would have. It's why you learned how to keep going without becoming careless or bitter. You endured quietly, but you were not unsupported. God was steady underneath you the entire time, holding you together. When fatigue wanted to unravel you, that unseen support formed something solid inside you. You became more measured, less reactive, more discerning. You stopped responding to every demand for your attention. You learned that not everything deserved your emotional energy. That shift didn't make you colder. It made you wiser. Psalm 121-3 says, He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. This psalm does not promise that the road will be easy. It promises stability. The terrain you walked through was uneven, the load heavier than expected. But you didn't lose your footing. You adjusted your pace. You learned when to slow down so you could last. That kind of pacing is not weakness. It is endurance with wisdom. You learn that strength is not about intensity. It is about sustainability, about being able to carry weight without destroying yourself in the process. That lesson alone changed you. You no longer push just to prove something. You no longer rush just to escape discomfort. You move with intention now, with awareness, with boundaries that protect what matters most. That didn't come from theory. It came from enduring what no one else saw. Isaiah 40-31 says, Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. Waiting here does not mean doing nothing. It means restraint. It means continuing forward without clarity, without guarantees, without immediate relief. You did that. You waited while working. You waited while showing up. You waited while carrying responsibility. That didn't pause. And in that waiting, strength was renewed quietly, not as excitement, as steadiness. Enough to remain faithful, enough to stay aligned, enough to endure one more day. That kind of renewal is subtle, but it lasts. You may not feel transformed, but you are different. You carry yourself differently now. You respond differently under pressure. You no longer feel the need to explain every decision. You no longer internalize every expectation placed on you. You learn to guard your inner life. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." You did that. You guarded your heart, not by shutting down, but by becoming grounded. He didn't let disappointment turn into resentment. He didn't let fatigue turn into recklessness. You remained steady. That steadiness was costly. It required discipline. It required saying no internally when saying yes emotionally. Would have been easier, but it protected you. What you endured quietly clarified your priorities. It showed you what truly matters, what deserves your energy, what does not. You stopped carrying what was never yours to begin with. That release did not happen suddenly. It happened gradually. As endurance reshaped your perspective, Psalm 66:10 says, "For you, O God, have tested us. You have refined us like silver." Refining does not destroy what matters. It removes what cannot last. Silver survives the heat. It becomes clearer because of it. You're clearer now. Clearer about your limits. Clearer about your calling. Clearer about what kind of person you are becoming. That clarity came at a cost, but it was not wasted. Jesus spoke directly to people who endure quietly. In Matthew 11:28, he said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Jesus does not call those who avoided responsibility. He calls those who carried it. Rest here is not an exit. It is restoration. While life continues, Jesus understands the cost of endurance, the weight of responsibility, the fatigue of staying. When others step away, he does not minimize what you carried. He invites you to place your inner life back into his care. You didn't imagine how heavy this season was. He didn't exaggerate the effort it required. What you endured quietly changed you. It deepened you. It grounded you. It prepared you. He didn't come out louder. He came out steadier. You didn't become harder. You became clearer. That will matter. And what comes next? Because future seasons will require people who can carry weight without losing integrity, and you're becoming that person. You don't need everyone to understand what this costs you. You don't need recognition to validate your endurance. God already knows. He saw the moments no one noticed, the restraint no one applauded, the faithfulness that didn't make noise but held things together. Nothing was overlooked. Nothing was wasted. What you endured quietly changed you, and it is still shaping what you are becoming. If this message spoke to you, like the video, share it with someone who carried more than they ever said out loud. Subscribe for more devotionals that speak to real life and real faith. And if you feel led, leave a comment saying, God saw what I endured. May His peace find you today.